Everybody has that one player that they just absolutely hate for their team. No matter how good your team is, there will always be a player that you just don't like seeing on a pitch. When he comes on, he does something wrong. He always makes a mistake. You're always groaning about him. All right, he could even do something right and you hate him. There will always be that one player you just absolutely despise and you want him out of the club. It could be one, it could be two, or it could be the whole bloody team, depending on how bad the team is you support. But there will always be that one player in particular you absolutely hate. And I can guarantee it. No matter how much you love your club and no matter how much you love those players, there will always be that one that you just don't like. And today, we're going to sniff them out. But instead of going for the easy option and just picking a man off the bench or a player that doesn't make the squad from time to time, we're going to go into the starting 11 and pick one of those players. And look, I'll be honest, we're probably only going to go through the big six clubs because it would be dishonest of me to go to a Burnley, a Sheffield United or Luton Town teams like that and pick out a random player because I'll be honest, I could pick absolutely anybody. I don't know. All right. It's dishonest. I don't know much about those teams. You probably don't know much about those teams. So why are we kidding ourselves here? All right, let's go for the teams that absolutely everybody knows. And I know it's a disservice to those teams down the bottom and the fans of those teams, but, you know, it all revolves around the big six clubs anyway, okay? So we're just going to feed into that even more. And straight off the bat, straight off rip, Manchester United, Marcus Rashford, out the door. Out of the door. I know it's contentious, all right? Out of that starting 11, you could probably pick the whole starting 11 to kick out of Manchester United. But Marcus Rashford is the one that I want to pick because it's gone too far. His attitude is terrible. You never see him doing what he has to do for the club or doing what he has to do to help his team. The club is a bit too far. You know, when he's on a pitch, he's not doing what he needs to do for the team. All right, he's there because he's a moment's player. All right, he has this one moment where he pops up and he scores you a goal, but that's about it. And even this season, he's only had one or two of those moments throughout, 18, 20 games. And, I could go and pick Anthony, who probably is your starting right winger. And he does absolutely nothing. But at least with him, you don't expect anything. You know he's trash. You know he's shit, all right? So when he does play like that, are you surprised? Are you surprised that Anthony did absolutely nothing when he got on the ball? Are you surprised that Anthony stopped the whole counter-attack? Probably not. By now, you're used to it. But with Marcus Rashford, you expect so much better. And the hype around Marcus Rashford is insane. Sometimes being called the best player in the world. Which, okay, it was never really warranted, but, he's had forms in his life where you could kind of see it. But probably not, all right? He's called Manchester United's best player at times. Arguable. Very arguable. For me, not at all. Because he doesn't do his job. All right? He does not do his job. When he's playing as a winger, he doesn't help his team out. He doesn't help his fullback out. He doesn't come back. He doesn't track back. His attitude is absolutely horrid and terrible, right? He doesn't do his defensive work. And in so many games, Marcus Rashford just goes missing. And the fact that he is the man that Manchester United rely on, when you look at that team sheet and you're looking for one player to step up in a big moment, you're relying on that one guy, you're looking at Marcus Rashford. And he just is not that. For the amount of expectation that Marcus Rashford has and the performances that he delivers, it is just not up to that standard. And it is almost nowhere near that standard. But Marcus Rashford, get out of there. And who knows? I honestly think Manchester United could do better without Marcus Rashford. Because the only reason he's even in the starting 11 right now, despite how bad he's played in the first couple of games or throughout the first half of the season, not really the first half, you know what I mean, first 10, 15 games, no matter how bad he's played, he's in there because, oh my God, he could provide you a moment, all right? He could provide you this one moment, he's that good of a player, he can give you one moment where he gives you a goal, he saves you the game. But I'm not looking for one moment, am I? If you're a Manchester United fan, you're not looking for one moment. You're looking for game after game after game for a good performance. And with the amount of talent that Marcus Rashford has, and the fact that he doesn't provide that, is a reason that he should be out the door. And maybe if you have someone that's not as talented as a Marcus Rashford, but provides you a good performance and provides you the heart, the absolute heart, you know that he's doing everything he possibly can to win you that game. For me, that is a hell of a lot better than one Marcus Rashford moment every 2 or 3 games. All right, that is way better. So Marcus Rashford out the door. Next up, Chelsea, Nicholas bloody Jackson out of the door. All right, out of the door, because you're telling me against a 9-man Tottenham, you go and score a hat-trick, or you go and score 1 goal and you're doing every single celebration you possibly can against 9 men. 9 men, yeah, that Tottenham team, when they were down to 9 men, that were playing a high line, they were playing offside traps with 9 men. Absolute madman arrogance from Ange Postecoglou saying we could probably beat you even with 9 men. They're playing more aggressive football than Tottenham with 9 men. That high of a line, all the way up to the halfway line, right? And you have all that space to run in behind, and you are still shameless enough to do 4 celebrations on 1 goal. And you missed a header earlier in the game that should have been an easy goal. You have missed countless opportunities throughout the season. Chelsea have created enough opportunities for the likes of a Nicholas Jackson, but he hasn't put them away. And he is shameless enough to do all those celebrations. But, you know, despite all the jokes and despite everything, you know, all the funny business, I understand with Nicholas Jackson, you know, he scored a hat-trick. He's probably, you know, that's given him some confidence. But at the same time, what are you doing? Rashford, Sui, fucking pointing at the badge. Like, there's 9 men, and you're doing all of that. And I respect it. Actually, I don't respect it at all. Like, why? Just why? Right? You've done nothing for the whole season. You come up against a 9-man Tottenham and you decide to finally show up all basically tap-ins. Okay, that's a bit too far, you know. He did score the goals. To be fair to him, he still put them away. And that is something you have to do at the end of the day. And he still did it. Okay, but let me be serious. Because it's easy to rip on Nicholas Jackson. He isn't scoring. And, you know, despite all the funny business, I think, you know, he is a raw talent. And as with many, many Chelsea players, it seems, we could just say if he finally adds those goals and he can finally put those chances away, he'd be a great player. And sure, I guess, you know, he's very raw. He has so much time. He's a young player. And as funny as it is to rip into him, you know, he'll probably end up being a good player because he has the tools in the box. You know, if he grows and he develops with the other young players around him at Chelsea, he'll probably do fine and he won't be a player that you want to see out of the door. But right now, I don't think there's any other player at that Chelsea. Their starting 11 is actually quite decent. You know, it isn't as cohesive and as, you know, they don't fit together as well as you'd want them to, but it's actually pretty good when you consider it. Look, if we're being honest, the real option to kick out of Chelsea from that starting 11 is Robert Sanchez. All right. Despite how great the statistics are around Robert Sanchez, you can tell he isn't a great keeper and he isn't fit for the likes of a Chelsea. Well, Chelsea are about a mid-table club nowadays, but, you know, he's definitely not fit for Chelsea. All right. But come on, Nicholas Jackson. Does it get any easier to make fun of? Nicholas Jackson, easy option. Get him out of the door. Let's move on to an easy one instead. Arsenal, Kai Havertz, easiest one of the day, possibly, barring Nicholas Jackson, because Kai Havertz, you know, actually, I enjoy Kai Havertz. He is the funniest player at Arsenal, and he's just the funniest player in the Premier League. You know, he got bought by Chelsea for about 75 million, played like absolute garbage for 2, 3, 4 years or whatever, however long he was there. And the only reason he's even caught life in those 4 years is because he scored a Champions League final goal where he was wide open. I mean, not wide open, but he was one-on-one with a keeper. And any number 9 of that caliber being booked for 75 million should be putting that goal away. And that's the only reason he caught life. It's the only reason he got away with murder and still finds himself today at the Premier League. I don't know. Is it nepotism? Is it money laundering? Who knows? But Kai Havertz still finds himself in the Premier League somehow. And then, despite all of that, he goes and gets bought by Arsenal for about 65 million as well. And the same thing happens. They plop him in midfield where he's possibly, it's his worst position out of all of them, has the spatial awareness of about a newborn. I don't know what really has a bad spatial awareness, but he has absolutely no awareness in that midfield, never knows when to turn, never knows when to play the ball out properly, and if you put him up top where you expect him to be at his best position, he fluffs at the ball, has air kicks, doesn't put away his chances. And Kai Havertz is probably the easiest player in the Premier League to rip into. As a starting 11, or as a starting player, he is so easy. It's just, that's free. That's free, man. It's so free. Kai Havertz is it's too free. It's almost too free. It's almost too good. Then you know what? Let's not pick him. Nah, I can't. I have to pick Kai Havertz. He's just that bad. Every time you watch Kai Havertz, you just see it, especially in the midfield. I don't know what, does he not scan? Does he not see that there's no one behind him, or there is someone behind him? He is in acres of space, and he just passes the ball back to a Saliba, or he passes the ball back to Gabriel. Turn. Acres of space behind you. Acres. Just turn. Just turn. All you have to do is turn. Just turn. Right there, mate. Just turn. Yeah, Kai Havertz. Just turn. Or turn yourself to the door. That'd be better for Arsenal. Bring in Mr. Red Card Granit Xhaka back. Because Arsenal would probably be top of the league if they had Granit Xhaka. Guarantee it. Probably not, but, better than Kai Havertz. Okay, look, take everything I said with a pinch of salt. It was all just a little bit of fun. We may have been ripping into players and calling them hot garbage and calling them ass and calling them, some of the worst players in the Premier League. But look, at the end of the day, it's a little bit of fun. All right, the only actually serious thing I probably said was talking about Marcus Rashford and his inability to show his attitude and show fight for the club. That's probably the only thing you can really take away. And if you've found yourself and you've sat through this whole, possibly 10, 15 minutes of absolute garbage from me, I was talking straight garbage as well, probably. If you sat through all of that, I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe,